Hey folks, welcome back to the Edupedia world, and I am Abhinay Gupta. And today again we will continue with the appointment and remuneration of managerial personnel. Right? So as you know, this is just a continuation of the previous lecture. We dropped out of the lecture in the middle of the class. Why? Because it was going a little longer than usual. Right? I try to keep all the lectures somewhere between 20 to 30 minutes. Right? So it's easy for you also. Yeah, once you start, there's 20-30 minutes you see, you take a break, 20-30 minutes you see, you take a break. If you actually see scientifically also, a human brain does not respond for more than 1.5 hour, right? But that does not mean that I'll go on for 1.5 hours for every lecture, right? Work at your own pace. There are some who go ahead with half an hour, some who can go ahead with 1.5 hours. So when we give you short lectures, it is convenient for you. Just play the next if you want to continue. Right, if you want to continue, play the next. If you don't want to continue, you can have a break. Otherwise, leaving in between, again coming and starting from there, these all they take a toll. I have experienced those problems. Right, in my time, although I haven't taken a lot of coachings, yeah, but I could not. When you intern in Big Four, coaching is not possible for you. Yeah, but one or two that I had been in during my IPCC days, right, I have seen it's a 3 hour, 4 hour long lecture that we attend, practically saying, and frankly speaking, my brain used to switch off before the break. So second half of the lecture never grasped what is happening. Right? I thought that's a problem with me, but scientifically it is proven. After 1.5 hours, your brain starts switching off. You will have to refresh it. Right? All the downloads that you give to your brain, they get there, they accumulate for 1.5 hours. After that, the cup is full and it starts overflowing. So you'll have to let that seep in for good 10-15 minutes and then again start with the next section of 1.5 hours. Okay, let's not get into that now. So appointment and remuneration of managerial personnel, right? So where had we left? So we had seen in the previous lecture that the maximum percentage given to them is 11, right? You can increase 11 by satisfying three needs, pass a ordinary resolution in the general meeting, ask approval from the central government and follow schedule 5. Now if you go back to the managerial personnel, if there's only one managerial personnel, the maximum percentage given to that person is 5. If there are more than one, the maximum percentage that you can distribute among all 2 and above from a bracket of 10%, right? Because the maximum is 11. And to the ordinary directors, the balance 1% is given to them if these people are there. But luckily, if these people are not there, they get more than 1%. They get 3% of the net profit. And remember the net profit that we discussed, that we will continue it in section 198. And that net profit will not be a result of deduction of the expenditure of managerial remuneration. Right? What did we do in case of no or inadequate profit? Understand, these are percentage of net profits. If there is no profit or inadequate profit, sorry, no remuneration, bro. Right? Yeah, but you used to get the setting fees. And you used to follow the provisions of section of Schedule 5. So whatever is given in Schedule 5 that we have seen, right? What do we do in case of no profit or inadequate profit? You go by effective capital and all those things. So that is there. We have seen that, done that. Right? The mode of determination of your managerial remuneration. So we have seen the mode of determination. You remember? Article, ordinary resolution, or article says special resolution. Three situations. Either article will give you, okay, determine it in this way, or article will be silent, right? Or article can also delegate, okay, this will be done by whatever the members say, but the members will have to pass a special resolution to say that. Then if article is silent overall, the members will pass an ordinary resolution and give it to you, right? Then what we saw was include remuneration from other services. Yes, you can include remuneration from other services. So whatever service the director provides to the company in whatever capacity, the limit is to give money to the director. That will remain again in the same bracket. Okay. Now we come down to our topic of today. So the first very important topic we have is the setting fee. See how good it is, right? Go sit, take the fee, go enjoy. You know what is the maximum limit of a sitting fee? 1 lakh rupee. Good, right? Very good. I think, oh, it would be best if I would be attending 10 meetings a day. Too much, right? Okay, 10 meetings a week. 10 lakh rupees a week. Good to go. Right. So how many of you understand the concept of setting fees? So the directors, when they take a board meeting, right, there are a lot of agendas to discuss. So that meeting is called specifically. So they undo their office task and everything. Sometimes it happens so even over the weekend and whatever be the situation. So the director comes with a lot of preparation for that meeting because the agenda for the meeting is already floated to them and that will be discussed. So it's hectic task for the management. Understand these poor chaps, they are managing the entire company, right? And reaping no benefit out of it. That is so ironical, right? Like okay, a little out of the topic, but that is so ironical. These people, they are managing the entire company. And then you put a restriction on their remuneration. 1%, 3% of the net profit. Who will take the rest? The owners, right? So why are these people working for them? I don't understand these limits. 1%, 2%. Yeah, if these people have made it big, give them a big chunk. At least. Come on, let that be. The worst part is not the penny that they get. The worst part is that one fine day they'll retire and everything comes back to zero for them. Company went from zero to hero. They went from hero to zero. One single day, one single signature of retirement. Come on. So sitting fees. If you are a director, right, there are many companies where you can take up directorship and only go for attending the meeting and you get the sitting fees also. But they don't take you up like that. You'll have to give some input over there. Right, I was not taken in for free fund. Come have coffee and sit in the meeting. It's not like that, right? So when we talk about sitting fee, a director may receive remuneration by way of fees for attending the meeting of the board or the committee that are prepared, right? So all these things are termed as sitting fees, right? And this sitting fees shall not exceed the amount prescribed. What is prescribed, we'll see. But what the law says, you remember, right? When the law uses these phrases, it should not exceed from the limit prescribed, because what is prescribed is given in the rules, and those rules are amended from time to time. So instead of going ahead and amending the entire act, they play it safe. Please see what is prescribed. What is prescribed is given in the rule that comes up next year from the launch of the act, and in that I keep amending. So currently the limit is 1 lakh, right? What is prescribed. And the central government may prescribe different fees for different classes of companies. So okay, this class 1 lakh, this class 2 lakh, this class 50,000, whatever. That is the discretion of central government. And if there are certain independent directors, for them there will be a different setting fee also. They can be. That will be prescribed by the central government specifically. Right? Now what does that rule say? We are diverted to a rule. When they say prescribed, means we are diverted to a rule. So we are basically over here diverted to rule number 4 of the company's appointment and remuneration of managerial personnel rule 2014. Right? So the rule says first, a company may, if they want, pay sitting fees to the directors who are attending the meeting of the board or the meeting of the committees. Right? And the amount of sitting fees that shall be paid to them will be decided by the board of directors. So one place they have given relief. No member, no article, no government, nobody will decide. Sitting fees, right? We know how important topic is. We know how important our brothers are. Let us decide what will be the sitting fees. You have kept a ceiling. I'll either reach the ceiling, not more than that. So ceiling is your decision. Central government's decision. Either I'll keep it lower than that, or I'll give the maximum I can give to my brothers is the ceiling that you have placed. Right? And the amount of sitting fees shall not exceed 1 lakh rupees per meeting of the board or the committee of the board. So either you attend the committee meeting or board meeting, doesn't matter. Whatever can be your sitting fees. Maximum is 1 lakh as of now. But again, rule 4 helps the independent director and the woman director. They say, although he's independent, although she's a woman, maybe they do not have a lot of stay, maybe they say, right, maybe they are not involved into the day-to-day activities, but still if they are attending the meeting, if you have called them to sit in the meeting, you will not be biased in the payment of the sitting fee. So whatever is the sitting fee that you are giving to the rest of the directors is the same amount that will be going to an independent and the woman director as well. Right? So rule says it shall not be less than. So can it be more than? Yes, it can be, but even that more will be within the limit. Next, mode of payments we have already seen. Remuneration can be paid via various modes. Right? Either it's a whole-time director or a managing director or a non-executive director or a manager. Whosoever it is, either they can all get monthly payment which is fixed. They decide, okay, like you get, right, you must be getting a stipend. So the stipend is also fixed. When you go to your CA, they say you, see, we'll give you 1000 rupees per month, 2000 rupees per month, right? Go to a little mediocre level company, 4000 rupees per month. Go to the big four, 10,000 rupees per month. That is a slab, right? So they'll tell you, this is what I'll be giving you per month. Some places, as an article you don't, but if you, after you qualify, you take a partnership, then that person doesn't say that I'll give you profit of everything. No, my firm is running well. Let's do one thing, take up something, some clients, whatever comes, you take a specified percentage. Doable, right? So over here also, for the managerial remuneration thing, they say we can give you so specified percentage of net profit. Like we have seen, right? 11, 5, 10, 1, 3. These are all percentage of profit. So you can also take that, or you can take partly monthly payment and partly be specified percentage of net profit, right? So these will be the three modes of payment. Remuneration of independent director. Yes, 197 clause 7. Right, so whatever is said and told in any of the provision of the act, an independent director, remuneration and all will talk, but there is a concept of stock option. Are you prepared with your accountancy? Mind the accountancy. So if you're done with your accountancy of group 1, you know what stock options are. There's an entire chapter on stock option. And the crux of the chapter is the calculation. 0.98 into 0.98 into 0.98 percentage, or something like that, whatever be the percentage, where you find out the effective period left for this period and you minus and lot of things, right? So those are stock options. So whatever is contained in the provisions of any act, an independent director shall not be entitled to any stock option. Because you know why is a stock option given? It is just a bribe. It's just a lollipop given to them. So see, our company, if you work hard, the company will grow. If the company grows, the shares value will grow. We are giving you certain stock options today very cheap. When it grows, sell it off, earn profit. So see, if you want your value of stock option to grow, please let my company grow. You know what are these? These are strategies of the management or the owners actually. These strategies of the 3% of people in the world. They know that if we give them a lollipop, then to earn their lollipop, they'll give us an entire factory of lollipops. Right? So in order to earn or in order to increase the value of their stock option, maybe 100 stock options or 200 stock options, the entire value, even if inflated, will be only 30-40k more. They will inflate the value of the entire company together. And the company, when it is into multiple lakhs of stocks, the valuation goes huge, right? Then an independent director may receive remuneration by way of first the sitting fees. It's applicable to everybody, as we said. Even a woman director or an independent director, they'll sit in the meeting, they'll get the sitting fees, and that will not be less than what the other directors are getting, right? Then if they are making some expenditure to come and attend the meeting of the board, those expenditures will also be reimbursed, right? And if there is some profit related commission that the directors are getting, if you want to give it to an independent director, please go and ask the members as well. I know he's your friend, you want to help him out as a director, but still go and ask the members. If the members, because they are the owners, if they say, okay, go ahead and give them some penny more, you go ahead and you give it. Next is the increase in remuneration. So yeah, your remuneration can be increased, but whatever it is increased, that increase should be in accordance with Schedule 5. And if it is not in accordance with Schedule 5 at any point of time, it should at least be approved by the central government. Right? You remember when we were discussing Schedule 5? Everywhere we said if it is not according to Schedule 5, go and ask central government. Whatever central government says, we will agree. Right? So we know that in case of no profit or if there is inadequate profit and if Schedule 5 is applicable, then the provisions which has the effect of increasing the remuneration for any director shall have any effect unless, point number 1, such increase is in accordance with the conditions which are already specified in the Schedule 5, and if not, the approval of central government is obtained, right? And then it is immaterial whatever is the provisions, right? So it is immaterial as to whether the provision which has the effect of increasing the remuneration of the director is either contained in your memorandum, it's in your article, it's in your agreement, it's in your resolution, wherever it is, right? So whatever be the provision that you include anywhere, we don't care about that. If you actually want to increase the remuneration, it can only be increased either by Schedule 5 or it can be increased by the approval of CG. Whatever said and done anywhere else is not entertained at all. It is immaterial, right? The company writes big in their memorandum and article, yeah, we will increase their remuneration every this year and that year by this percent, that percent. No. It is said specifically either Schedule 5 or central government. No one else has any say. Right? No memorandum, no article, nothing will be entertained. Even if you enter into an agreement with the company, legal document, and you go and show, it will not be entertained. It is already declared by law. Right? So your stamp paper agreement will be just torn and thrown away. Right? You pass a resolution in general meeting, board meeting, wherever you pass. Nothing is entertained because the law already has specified either Schedule 5 or central government. Nobody else means nobody else. Consequences of payment of excess remuneration. Okay, so you have paid. Now what to do? Attract punishment. But first of all, the director who has received excess, it's his responsibility to come and refund. Right? So if there is a director who has received any commission from the company, right, and who may be any of the managerial personnel, right, maybe a managing or a whole-time director of the company, he shall not be disqualified from receiving any remuneration or commission from any holding company or any subsidiary company, right? Those things are allowed, but that is not an excess remuneration. Excess remuneration, if paid from the same company, you will have to refund that, right? So if you are a director, you are drawing excess remuneration from the company and you know that it is excess because the law has already specified what is to be given, then you have to return it to you. It's your duty, right? And if you take some time in refunding it, so during that time you will hold that money in trust for the company, right? And if again I go back to the same situation that I was talking about your subsidiary and holding company. So you are already getting remuneration from your company. Now you are getting some other remuneration or commission from your holding company either or your subsidiary company, right? Then there is no prohibition on that. You can get it, subject to the disclosure by the company in the board report. That okay, this is not our remuneration, this extra money has come from either the holding company or subsidiary company or whatever it is. You will disclose it into the board report. Next point is non-applicability. Now before non-applicability, again understand, we talked about consequence, right? So, okay, you have to refund. Okay, if you are delaying it, you can hold it in trust. What if you don't return? Right, you don't want to return, and what do is you come to the board and you say, hey, let's do one thing, it's in our control, right? Let's waive off the payment, yeah. Let's waive off the receipt. Do you think it's possible? Logically and morally, not. So no waiver of excess remuneration of the company is at all possible. But when I say it's impossible, the word itself says I am possible. So yes, there pops up one possibility, and that is the central government, the final rescue point, right? The father of all over here. So now one more thing, that if there's a company, a listed company, then you remember your subject in your class 10 and 12, mean median mode. So you will also have to show a median of the ratio of the remuneration of each of the director as a median to the employee's remuneration. So you prepare all the employees' remuneration, you prepare a median also. If somebody has been into audit seriously, instead of doing a dummy, you must be knowing that even when you calculate gratuity and stuff, they go by the same thing. They follow the median and then they calculate a lot of things, right? So you get the employee's median and then you have to show a ratio that okay, as per an employee's median salary, this is what the directors are getting, right? If there are certain insurance premiums that are being paid by the company, so that if the director makes any fault or CFO, CEO, company secretary, any of they make a default, then insurance company bears those charges against them or for them in support of them. So if the company is paying to that insurance company any premium, right, that will not be part of remuneration. That will not be considered. It is a company's expenditure, company pays it. Just to secure that okay, if they have taken any wrong decision, any wrong judgment, something somewhere has happened that does not actually lead to a very good outcome, right, or a loss or a hit at that point of time, then it is insured. Now understand, when it is insured, premium has been paid, nothing has happened. The premium is going, it is all accounted in the company's expenditure. One fine day, something weird happened. Company hit a loss. Insurance company came with an intention to insure and give them the support. But what happened is that they found the director to actually be guilty. So they'll not give any refund, right? No insurance claim. So there's no insurance claim. The premium that you have paid went in vain. You pay that premium for the director, right? If director is found at fault, he'll be kicked out anyways. So whatever you have paid as a premium for his insurance for so long is in vain. The money has gone from your pocket, the money has entered the pocket of the insurance company. So what to do? In that situation, the director will bear the amount. So whatever the company has paid, in general, as per law, it's company's expense. But if the debtor is found at fault and the insurance company does not give him the money back, then even those expenditures on the premium will have to be refunded to the company by the director, right? If he's proved to be guilty. It's not actually a refund, basically it will be part of his remuneration. He has received it. Now whatever, if it's in excess, it is lower, whatever it is, that will be the second scenario to see. But if he's found guilty, it is a part of his remuneration. If he's not found guilty, it's not part of his remuneration, it's part of company's expenditure. This section 197 is not applicable on private company that has already been declared a long back, but there's a notification that has come up 5th June 2015. The notification says that the provisions of 197 shall also not be applicable on a government company. So are you guys clear with section 197? There are just some key things to remember, like percentage 11, 510, 13, what to do in case of inadequate profit. If there is inadequate profit, then you follow schedule 5 of how to calculate, right? What will be a mode of determination, maybe monthly, maybe percentage, whatever. If you are providing some extra services, those payments will also be termed as remuneration. Sitting fees we already discussed. 1 lakh is what is prescribed as of now. The mode of payment can be anything. We have discussed all of these. Remuneration of independent directors cannot be given less in terms of sitting fees as compared to the director, right? First thing. Second thing, when we talk about independent director, there are a lot of things that we already discussed. Let's not get into that again. Increase in remuneration. How to increase, what are the procedures, who cannot increase, consequence for payment of excess remuneration, the refund and everything that is there, and finally the non-applicability. Okay, so with this we again come to an end of this section 197. Before start getting ahead to 198 or 199, we'll discuss 199, that is about the recovery of remuneration in certain cases. So we'll do all that. But we'll take that up in the next lecture. This lecture is already overloaded now. We'll cut the class over here and I'll see you guys back in the next lecture. Until then, this is Abhinay Gupta signing off. Thank you and bye-bye.